Welcome back to Next Voice. Welcome to the third video in this three-part series around how to stand out, create your brand, and find that job from your college or university. This third part of the three-part series is going to be on the key skills of how to build relationships, the verbal and non-verbal communication skills we use to create deeper connections and build longer-term relationships to create better opportunities.
Yeah, it's very important for us to share this with you because, I'm very shy when I got my first job. I did great at the interview. Somehow I got the job, but in the first few days, I was really suffering because I didn't know how to transmit confidence, how to build relationship with the colleagues I've never seen. I don't even know. So today we want to share with you some of those tips which can be helpful to you once you get into the workplace, or it could be a conference where you're meeting for the first time a lot of strangers, how you can build relationships. So let's start with this, Nick. How was your first day at job? Whenever you got your first job, and if you have to walk into that room again, what different you will do?
Yes, so it's very important, the skills to create our CV, to create our personal brand, to interview effectively. And as Akil said, but then what? Once you've actually got an opportunity, how do you continue to improve your skills and to grow as a professional and a person? And to Akil's question, to your question, the first day of my first job out of university, it was in a fitness business, working with a huge global company and running their fitness and health center. I became an assistant manager. It was a good job out of university, my first job. I managed to get it. And I remember feeling very overwhelmed on the first day because I felt some feelings of not being ready, not having all the skills. I'd only finished university about 3 or 4 months before. And suddenly I was working with many, many successful high level executives, leaders, and people. I felt overwhelmed. I felt like I had a bit of imposter syndrome. I felt there's so many skills I don't know. So that affected my confidence hugely to ask questions, to ask for advice, as I spoke about in the last video, to show up as who I am, going back to my brand, my values, being authentic, sharing what I want, sharing my goals with other people, asking questions. I wasn't doing any of that in the first month or so of my new job. I felt nervous. I felt overwhelmed. I felt my confidence was very low. So that really hindered me. It stopped me building deep relationships with my colleagues at work. And as I look back from all those years ago, that was the biggest mistake I made by not knowing and not having. I say it was a mistake, but I didn't have the communication skills at the time to start building effective relationships with my colleagues at work.
Yeah. So Nick, one question. One of the things which we all face, which has happened, you are in a place where there are a lot of strangers, you haven't met them before. And one of the things which really happens to all of us when we are growing is how to start a conversation. What should I talk about? I have nothing in common with that guy or that person because I don't know that person. So how can I start a conversation? So do you have any tips for the young people on how to start a conversation maybe that could help?
The best piece of advice I heard about, if you want to be interesting, be interested. If you want to be interesting, be interested. And that means take an interest in other people. And one, you learn a lot, and it's quite enjoyable, the things you get to learn about other people and what they can teach you. But two, it makes the other person feel the most important person in the world. And that makes them far more interested in you. And so I think about that all the time. And I wish I'd have known that all those years ago in my first couple of jobs, especially my first one. And what it comes down to is taking an interest in other people. You don't need to worry about what to say or to show off or to impress people. If you simply ask other people interesting questions, you ask them about themselves, you ask them what they're passionate about, what they're working on, what's exciting them the moment, what's been their biggest failure, what have they learned the most in the last months or a couple of years or in this most recent job. These are questions that you'll see people at the highest levels light up because it's an interesting question. And what will happen is they will start becoming more and more and more interested in you. And therefore, the relationship starts building and building and building. So that's the key. Become interested instead of trying to be interesting, and ask questions to people to learn.
That's a great tip, Nick. Become interested rather than trying to be interesting. One of the thing which I want to share, Nick, with you is that during my first job, I met a guy. He joined at the same time as me, a wonderful person. And to me, it was always like he was always listening to what I had to say. And I really appreciated, his gestures. Like he was always trying to do the same, what you are saying now. And today, that friend of mine, he is the CEO of a top multinational company. Maybe that was a skill. If I would have learned a little bit more, that could have helped me grow. But I'm happy with the communication skills. But I think what you're saying is really important, and I think this is one of the key skill. If I say to build a relationship in a place where you meet a lot of strangers, could it be a conference? Maybe, right? It could
Yes.
be a workplace, your first day in workplace, or it could be a simple presentation you are giving to a room full of audience you don't know. So when somebody is asking questions, maybe you can ask them back, try to be interested.
Practice active listening. It's a huge skill of nonverbal communication. The way you listen is an action. Listening is an action. So it's actually something you do. It's not passive. And when you show an interest through listening to the answers or just listening to other people speak in general, it's a huge non-verbal positive piece of communication. So that's another important piece of advice. And I wanted to ask you, Akhil, what are some of the other non-verbal communication skills that we take for granted or maybe don't even think about that improve and help us build impactful
Uh,
relationships?
I have a very good example of that, Nick. I think one of the thing which I will say is eye contact.
Mm.
It took me a lot of time to understand how important is eye contact in building relationships. I was in my office. I remember I used to talk to the guys like I'm looking at somewhere else and I'm talking to somebody else. And that doesn't used to go well. Not only in building relationships, but in terms of transmitting my message. It's totally different if I look into your eyes and transmit the message rather than I'm looking somewhere and talking to you. Right. So I think that's one of the skill. It took me a lot of time to learn that. When you want to communicate anything important, or even if you want to communicate a simple message, make sure you have the proper eye contact, which I think is very important. It
Great.
transmits empathy, it transmits that you are listening to them, and it transmits that you are interested in them.
Because so much of the empathy and the interest we show is not through just what we say. In fact, what we say is a small part, but our eyes, our hands, the way our body is, the way we listen, that they're all the nonverbal communication skills that really are communicating. They're communicating very strongly without us often realizing. So building that awareness about what do we do with our facial expressions? Do we sit like this, or do, like Akhil said in his example, do we look everywhere else? Are our hands down or in our pockets or behind our back? Is our body facing the other person, or is it the opposite direction? Do we use our hands? These are all really important nonverbal pieces of body language that we need to build awareness around to make sure that we're using them.
Great tips, Nick. So, if we have to summarize to our audience, what are the 3 tips you think we can summarize and finish this video with so that they can learn? Number 1,
So in order to learn to build positive relationships, to keep growing in your new job or at any stage of your career, is to build those relationships through taking an interest, being interested instead of interesting, listening to other people, asking open questions.
you just say it so nicely, Nick. So, it is great to being interested is more important than appear interesting, than trying to be interesting.
The other tip would be everything you mentioned: eye contact, facial expressions, hands, and overall body language. What's it saying? Is it speaking negatively or is it speaking positively? Something
Yeah,
to really think about.
And I think the third tip, which I will close off with, is empathy, transmitting empathy. The first two things, if you do right, it helps you transmit empathy. You are listening to other person. And I think that is very important, that you build relationships by showing them that you understand what they are saying. If you do that, if you follow these three tips, trust us, wherever you go, you will have good friends everywhere.
Good friends, good colleagues, and great opportunities will lie ahead, without doubt.
Thank you for watching us on Next Voice. We will be more than happy to listen to your comments. If any of these videos in our series is helping you, has helped you, or you think we can talk about something else which you will be interested to know our point of view, we will be more than happy to read your comments and give you the replies. Thank you for watching Next Voice. Thank you for watching our channel. We really appreciate each and every subscriber we have.
Thank you, everyone. Please like this video and share it if you enjoyed it with someone that you think could find these videos really useful. Thank you, and see you in the next video.